anything happens in the Senate, it'll be very incremental. You have called for some bolder proposals. Is this the time? What is this time for? Incrementalism to get something, or bold if it leads to nothing?
Well, whatever we can get done, if it saves a life, it's worth doing. And so my colleagues who are entering the bipartisan talks, I fully support that. But I'm under no illusion that we're going to do the things that need to be done, that the majority of Americans overwhelmingly support Republican and Democrat, that can create significant safety. And we know, even though the CDC has been undermined by the gun lobby, where Senate Republicans won't allow basic scientific research on gun violence, we know enough to know that there are things we can do that will dramatically lower gun violence. And so the question is when will we do it? And the problem is, I return again and again to how change has been made in America. When our children died, for example, a bombing in Birmingham, when 4 little girls died, the nation rallied, movement continued until we demanded change, and it was made. And those people who did not make the change, civil rights movement, suffrage movement, paid at the polls. Until that happens, we are going to see, at best, incremental change. But as far as the federal level, I'm not that hopeful.
Look, neither one of these laws, the red flag law or this expanded background check, would have done anything. Both of these 18-year-olds legally purchased everything they used, including a massive amount of ammunition and body armor. It feels like it feels like you're going to solve a problem that doesn't address the problem.
Well, again, this is not a one-move solution. There must be many things done. But we know background checks make a difference. We know gun licensing, supported by the majority of Americans, make a difference. Heck, when Connecticut did it, their gun violence rate fell 40%. When Missouri got rid of it, their gun violence rate raised 20%. So
Still up in Texas since we got rid of it.
I am sorry. We are at a point in this nation where we are going to have to mobilize a greater movement. Just expressing regret or sorrow, until the redemptive power of the love for all of our children is greater than the destructive power of the love of our guns and money and power, until that redemptive love of our children turns into action, then nothing is going to change. And so many generations before us knew this. As Frederick Douglass says, power concedes nothing without a demand. If there's no struggle, there is no progress. We have got to begin to hold our congressional leaders more accountable for change.
What role should the White House play here? It looks like right now they want to play, they're standing back, and the president's not going to get involved in these talks because he wants to see what happens. But, we're getting to a point where I've heard from a lot of Democrats on the road who are sitting there going, voting rights, nothing. Gun violence, nothing. Abortion rights, nothing. How concerned are you that there's this appearance? It's not just an appearance anymore. Congress is just functionally inept, incapable of dealing with the major problems facing this country.
Well, first of all, when we say nothing has changed, it is a diffusing comment because things are changing. The kids from Parkland, the Gabby Giffords organization, Moms Demand Action, they have changed dozens and dozens of laws all around this country, state after state, that's making a difference. That movement is growing. And I say it's like judging the 1950s civil rights movement as not great.
This is decades long, you believe?
Sometimes longer. We just passed legislation to make lynching illegal. It took a century to do it. But I think this is a movement that is growing. And I think what we need now is not professions of impotency or despair. We need people that are going to choose to do the hard work of organizing and galvanizing, like the civil rights movement, the suffrage movement, the LGBTQ movement. To save our children's lives, we have to have people get off the sidelines and get into the arena.
Exactly.
I want to ask you a quick question on police reform. Your negotiating partner here, Tim Scott, Republican from South Carolina, put in an interesting, what I would call a backhanded compliment on the president's executive orders. He seemed to be supportive of them, and he simply said, the fact is Democrats used a filibuster they call racist to block my reforms that they're now embracing. It was a qualified immunity. Was that the sticking point, and why you guys were in agreement on about 80% of this? but that was the breaking point.
No, I mean, this is just like the issue we're talking about now. There's so much wide agreement. I was able to get the FOP, who represents the majority of police officers in America. We were able to come together around a bill. The International Association of Chiefs of Police come together around a bill. We should stop talking about the margins in this country. There are so many issues, from police reform to common sense gun safety, that the majority of us agree on it, but that's not enough. There has got to be more activism and engagement, or we're going to lose our precious democracy. We are so out of step with the rest of the world. Everything we're talking about today does not happen in other countries, just here, because we tolerate it. And that's the question, is how much endurance do we have for horror and wretchedness, pain and death? When we have the ability to change it, we just need more people engaged.
Senator Cory Booker, you and I have been on the show way too often.
Yeah.
After these moments of tragedy. Thanks for coming on.
Thank you.
Perspective.
Thank you.
We turn now